Welcome to Hollywood Unapologetic. My name is Orlando Delbert and this is Rocky. I wanted to speak a little bit about having a script, a vision, a plan, a mission, and the second stage of the filmmaking process, the pre-production stage. I first wrote about this subject and how it applies as part of the new Hollywood generation several years ago when I was writing Pollyanna's Tear-Soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical. The second stage of the filmmaking process is the pre-production stage. This is when you prepare all of the moving parts to your project. Pre-production should not begin until you have financing secured, as well as a cinematographer, key production crew members, and cast are secured. And the first thing to do during the pre-production stage is to break down the script even more. At this stage, you take your initial breakdown of the script and expand upon it. This will help you develop storyboards and individual scenes, help provide location information and a prop list, and see which cast members need to be scheduled for which scenes, develop a wardrobe and costume list, develop a digital and practical visual effects and makeup list, and any other details that are needed. Then you need to create a shot list. A shot list will be an extension of the presentation treatment. It will be a detailed breakdown of each individual shot the director anticipates shooting. This can include camera moves, types of shots, dialogue, technical and special effects notes, and additional notes not seen in the storyboards. Now comes the production design. This is something that a lot of smaller productions don't pay enough attention to. Notes from the presentation treatment will be used to develop the theme of the film. Is it a period piece? What are the mood progressions throughout the film? These are questions that need to be answered for every scene and shot of your project. You need to know the kinds of locations each scene will have, including the prop list for each scene. When considering the look and feel of the film, one should account for how each scene should be lit, the color palette and graininess, as well as the practical and/or special effects that may be needed. The wardrobe and costuming of everyone on camera needs to be considered and how they may change from scene to scene. Even if a particular location or set piece will in some way become a character of the film itself, that should be considered as well. Much like the RV mobile lab Walter White and Jesse Pinkman used to cook crystal meth in Breaking Bad, or the Millennium Falcon flown by Han Solo in the multiple Star Wars films, or even the 11 Aston Martins that were used in the James Bond films over the course of 50 years. Now it's time to find and secure your locations. Once the shot list is completed, it can be used to generate a separate list for locations. Usually a location scout will drive around to different production-friendly locations with a still camera and take several photos of exteriors and interiors, as well as to have contact information for each location along with their rates. Find out if the locations or sound stages you'll be shooting are union or non-union. This can have a direct impact on everything from your budget, loaded and set up and strike times, as well as even dictating how many of the unions people will be required to be on hand. Most location scouts already have a database they can access based on where they have been before. Keep in mind you have to account for access to crew and gear, availability to power and what limitations there are, ambient sound, parking and security, and bonding and permit requirements. It would be a good idea to take storyboards with you on a site survey and block off where would you like to have your camera, lights, props, and talent. Make sure you take a lot of photos, not only of the point of view for each camera view to be shot, but also shots of outlets and breaker boxes, spans, doorway, anything and everything you see that can be used to benefit the production, or things that can be a possible restriction. Be mindful of where cables may be run, and make a note if there are fluorescent lights and fixtures, where they are even if they are not in your shots. Not only do they typically run in a certain color temperature that may not fit and how the scene will be lit, they also can flicker and hum and can be picked up by your microphones. Make sure you have enough room to get your gear and set pieces through doorways and elevators, as well as see if there's any structural load limitations you need to know about. Take measurements wherever it is needed. Safety should be number one. Make lots of notes and include exits in case of emergency and know where the closest hospital is. Accidents do happen on location. Next is to develop a shooting script. Whenever I write screenplays, I write them as shooting scripts as I was directing them myself. Since I have a background in visual effects, my notes include effects shots when needed as well. I find it easier to include all of the shot setups and descriptions, camera moves, and lighting details so that I can see how the film would actually look, feel, and flow. Most directors and producers, however, do not want to see a shooting script when they first read a script. For me, it's easier to take out all of those details once the screenplay is written than it is to add them later, but that is not the norm. Since shooting a film is a collaborative effort, The initial vision, when it was first written, will most likely change. This is especially true if you're not directing your screenplay. In this context, the shooting script will be based on all of the work done thus far and will help develop the specifics of what the director's vision is, which may be different from what the writer of the original text had in mind. The shooting script needs to establish the environment and show how, when, and why the characters and camera move through each scene. If the camera is to follow a character, that needs to be clear. Notes on composition need to be clear as well, in order to show relationships in framing the shots, arrangements of the characters, focal points, and lighting needs. Additional notes on extra coverage and B-roll needs to be considered, especially around critical scenes. Too many inexperienced directors don't get enough coverage. It's better to have more than you originally planned for to not have the shots you need. Fixing it in post can be a very expensive lesson that you should avoid. It's time to create a production schedule. Production schedule will help you block out the dates needed per location and help with scheduling of casting crew and securing permits and security when needed. Allow time for move-in, setup, construction, and striking of sets and gear. Also allow for additional takes, capturing a room tone, and anything else you may need for your particular shoot. Remember to include time for lunch and dinner. For many, the very few productions will have some budgetary restraints. You may be able to get some people to help you out for little or no pay, but at least make an effort to feed them. Even if someone working your production does it just for the experience or for the credit, they will remember that you fed them that day. Casting. Bad actors can tank even the best of scripts, and good actors could only carry a mediocre script so far. Finding the right person to fill the right role is important. Best casting directors used to find actors performing in theater productions. It's obvious when you watch films from the 30s through the early to mid-60s, but how they perform and how the shots are blocked. This process slowed considerably during the 70s when the formulas the studios were writing were being rewritten. It's most important for you to find a person who fits the particular role rather than someone who is a friend or someone you may think is just cute. Your production deserves that, and you should take the time to find the right person for that role. And since you know who the characters are and their backstory, you may be able to find everyday people that fit those roles who are comfortable in front of the camera. Check out local theater companies, local acting resources through theater programs in nearby schools and acting classes, and even Craigslist.com. If they are not truly right for the part, don't cast them. When possible, have auditions and cold readings in front of a camera. Not only will this give you a visual reference of the person and performance, but you will also see if the person freezes up once they know the camera is rolling. Many people do. Also make sure you have your auditions in a separate room from where everyone else is waiting. You want them to be comfortable, and you need to get the best that you can from those brief moments. Let the actors know when they can expect a callback from you as well. And make sure you follow through. And last but not least, consider having callbacks if you need to see more from someone. Callbacks are not at all unusual. Now it's time to hire a crew. We all want to work with people we know and comfortable around. Sometimes, however, that can be a costly investment. When possible, hire the most qualified person you can for each individual position needed, as opposed to bringing on a distant cousin of your girlfriend's younger brother. If the person isn't hungry for the experience or doesn't seem to be truly motivated, most likely it will cost you or the production in some way in the end. Don't wait until the last minute to make your calls, and make sure you have a list of backups at the ready if someone doesn't show up. Los Angeles is notorious for no-shows. Based on your work you've done so far, take into consideration if your director of photography will need an assistant, especially if you have complicated camera or dolly moves or focus pulls. Having a dedicated gaffer is a good idea. Make sure you have someone who will be recording sound and a competent boom operator. The one thing that ruins so many productions at the beginning of one's professional career is bad sound. You'll hear it in a lot of short films. Also, someone who will be keeping a log during production and a continuity person as well. That's the one with the Polaroid cameras, making sure everyone's costumes and hair look the same from the day before. Finding the right person to set up your lights is crucial. Last but not least, make sure you have enough production assistants as well. I don't think PAs get enough credit. They are the bottom of the food chain, and they do a lot of the heavy lifting. They are essential to keep things moving forward. Remember, the more people you have to delegate to specific jobs, the more time you can dedicate to directing and getting the best performances out of the actors. You want to prepare your costumes, props, and set dressings. This is another area that often doesn't get enough attention on smaller film productions, as it should. It drives me crazy watching a war or sci-fi film and everyone on camera is wearing brand new looking uniforms, or a scene that takes place in a bar or a pool hall with a bunch of bikers wearing brand new leather jackets, with no weathering at all. Women wearing the wrong hairstyles for that particular period is a detail I catch. Those details, although they may seem subtle, can turn off those watching your film if they don't fit the characters of the situation. Of course, you need to work within your means, but getting those details right will serve you in the end. Go online and research what people wore during the time your film takes place. Buy the kinds of people your characters portray, and be thorough. Use examples to help your design team and prop masters to help them get the right fit for the production needs. Your production will benefit from it. Now let's break down your shooting script. As the director, you would want to know where each scene in the script lives. Make sure that the scene numbers are in the script. Bracket off each intended shot and designate each shot if you are using multiple cameras, Cam A, Cam B, Cam C, etc. Make sure each bracket has a shot description. You need to allow overlap in action so that when editors get the shots, they have options, and leave some padding. Make a floor plan as you envision the scene. This will help you when blocking cameras and actors, setting up the lights and props, and help when you analyze how dialogue will be given. And make sure you get card rates. When putting together all of the moving parts and the individuals to help put the film together, you need to get high and low prices from everyone. Often you will find people can be somewhat flexible if they believe in your project or if you are a student. Rental houses sometimes give discounts on gear over weekends or for student productions. This is also true when looking at your post-production options. So post-production is its own stage of the production process. Making sure you have the money to finish the production is not. Too many productions run out of financing near the end of principal photography and have to find gap financing or distant distribution options to get them through. When speaking to someone about what the rates are for their services, ask them what the card rate is. The card rate is the standard higher charge that just about everyone pays across the board, and ask them if there are options. You may be able to get a friends and family discount or perhaps an off-hours discount if you're willing to work around their schedules. Many rental houses rather have their equipment making money over a weekend as opposed to everything locked up in the warehouses. Remember that. Plus, the card rates are what you need when you're putting together your budget. There will always be unforeseen issues that come up and you need to have some padding to assure you can pay for them. Music licensing is huge. Music licensing is the licensed use of copyrighted music with the purpose to protect the owners of the copyrights and make sure they are compensated for the use of their works. There are limited rights to use the work without separate agreements, which can be determined by the numbers of copies of the film has been seen and its total revenue. It may also include additional payments if the film is financially successful above a certain agreed upon threshold. DVD distribution must be considered when negotiating, as well as the releasing of a soundtrack for the film. You need another set of agreements. The last thing you want is to spend several years of your life on producing your film to only be sued by a record label for the unauthorized use of some ominous audio track in your motion picture your cousin found on a laptop from who knows when. Music licensing is big business. There are composers online that offer different usage options that are affordable and sometimes even free when you give them credit. If you can afford to have a recording artist write something specific to fit your production, the rights to music and the lyrics would need to be negotiated. Whatever the terms you agree with, make sure you're not giving away too much of a percentage of your project if it becomes a deferred payment agreement. And it's time to lawyer up. Everything in Hollywood is about making money, period. Anyone who tells you different is either a naive or a naysayer. Many individuals who live for independent film will argue this, or at least that has been my experience. Although filmmaking is storytelling, it is also business. It's big business. When you read the trade magazines, so many articles written about are lawsuits. It is in your best interest to make sure your agreements protect you and the production. This includes copyright and trademarks of artwork for the film, the production company, and branding you plan on doing as part of the film's promotion. If you go into production with an honest understanding and acceptance that your project is a product, it will serve both you and the production best. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not in any way referring you should sell out or feel you can't be passionate about your ideas. The bottom line is, if you're investing years of your life and the lives of others as well, why not get paid for the hard work everyone is doing? As part of the new Hollywood generation, Your careers in content creation and filmmaking begins once you decide you're going to create a project. Watching this video was a major step to get you ready. You ready for the challenge? The world is greatly influenced by what is seen on the screen and heard on the radio. Let's be the new Hollywood generation. Let's give them something that will drive everyone to do something bigger and make a positive difference in the world. Something I like to leave you with. We are all in it together. Each and every one of you is an important part of our future. You're important to the lives of those who surround you. You're important to your communities. You're important to our industry. And no matter what, remain optimistic and focused on your goal. Never stop believing in yourself. Always remember, you are the key to your own success. Take a breath, move forward. Together, let's create a revival, resurgence of Hollywood, and bring back the auteur to cinema. Be an active part of the new Hollywood generation. You are a representative of the new Hollywood generation. You are a representative of the new Hollywood generation. Join Hollywood Unapologetic in our quest to positively empower one another, to empower our industry as we speak openly to industry professionals about the true pursuit of our Hollywood dreams and in life. Hollywood Unapologetic is a continuation of the Pollyanna's tear-soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical series of books designed to help you better prepare for success. It is now our time to strive to be a better version of ourselves and to be inclusive of one another. We, as a community, can grow together and be the change our industry needs. We can find unity together and be the change our future needs. We are the new Hollywood generation. Welcome to Hollywood Unapologetic.